My name is Sanjana. I did my schooling in Chennai and I'm pursuing the double degree B.Sc B.Ed program at Azim Premji University in Life Sciences. So in our first semester we had our Intro to Bio 1 course. We did fairly basic concepts, respiration and things like that. In our second semester, Intro to Bio 2, and now in our third semester we have genetics and molecular biology. For example, in genetics, things like linkage, recombination, all that kind of things. Molecular biology like replication, ncRNA, things like that. So the lab experiments, we end up kind of doing the things that we just read about in 11th and 12th standard. So things like, for example, in genetics we did a PCR reactions experiment where we isolated DNA and then we took it to the lab upstairs. We replicated the DNA and then ran a gel. So you put the DNA in the gel and then run an electric current through it so that it gets divided based on the size of the fragments. So things like that I think help build you up as a stronger researcher because you're actually getting to work with these concepts that you only read about before. The classrooms kind of differ based on each course. So since we don't only have pure biology courses, we also have the common curriculum. So we have like Understanding India, Public Reasoning, Academic Writing, things like that. For example, our Understanding India classroom would be more discussion based about the things we're learning and how you fit into Indian society, whereas something like molecular biology would be more lecture based because we're learning concepts we hadn't known about before. We just started our first education course in this third semester, and so it's Nature and Philosophy of Education, and so we're learning quite a lot of things that when you think of teaching, you don't think of things like what the Greeks thought about it 1,000 years back. You don't think of that as within the scope of education. You just think, oh, it's just teaching, right? But we are learning about that. How did people think about education and like society-wide 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago? How do you decide how to teach and what to teach in a classroom where all the students might not be at the same level of understanding? So there's a lot of different things that we're looking at. The Padyatra was a trip we went on this May. So we went to Bageshwar in Uttarakhand. We started from there and we kind of went around in a circle, walked through like 7 or 8 villages and came back to Bageshwar over like a 10-12 day period. So that was kind of about thinking about education in a concrete social context. So if you're at a village where there's no running water or there's no road access, how do you think about education then? Do you teach children to be better farmers or better agriculturalists? Or do you teach them to be better engineers or better doctors? So we talked to the students there, we talked to the teachers, we talked to the villagers there, and I think it was very useful in getting a sense of how education works in a real life context.